Welcome to Curious Nightmares, the channel where your fears and deepest curiosities collide. Prepare for spine-tingling tales and eerie explorations into the supernatural. Subscribe and stay tuned for hair-raising stories.
Vanished. The town that no one remembers. In my early 30s, I prided myself on being unshakable, a trait that served me well as a crime scene analyst. I'd seen the darkest sides of humanity, yet nothing prepared me for Evershade. The ancient, forgotten map I found tucked away in my family's attic seemed like a hoax, a scribbled legend leading to a town erased from every modern record. My curiosity, a constant companion in my line of work, spurred me to uncover this mystery. Evershade was a ghost town, literally and figuratively, hidden deep within a gnarled forest. The journey to find it was disorienting, as if the trees themselves were shifting to mask its location. When I finally emerged into the clearing of Evershade, it was like stepping into a time capsule of decay. He-Town was a macabre tableau of ruin. Buildings lay in crumbling heaps, their skeletal remains overtaken by the relentless embrace of nature. The air was thick with a rotting smell, and a heavy fog seemed to bleed out from the ground, swirling around my feet. As dusk crept in, the town revealed its true, nightmarish nature. My high-end camera, usually reliable in capturing the stark reality of crime scenes, began to malfunction. The images it captured were distorted, filled with gruesome apparitions. Spectral figures with twisted, anguished faces appeared in the viewfinder, only to vanish when I looked up. The whispers started as a low murmur, like the wind carrying secrets of untold horrors. They grew into tormented wails that echoed through the empty streets. The shadows around me writhed and twisted, forming grotesque shapes that defied the laws of physics. In a dilapidated house near the town's heart, I found a journal covered in a thick layer of dust and mold. It belonged to a doctor from Evershade, who chronicled the town's descent into madness. His writing, once meticulous, became increasingly erratic. He described a malignant presence that had seeped into the town, manifesting in vile, grotesque apparitions and driving the residents into a frenzy of violence and self-mutilation. The final entry was a blood-smeared scrawl. "It feeds on us." The night was a descent into a visceral horror that my career had never prepared me for. Blood-curdling screams pierced the air. I saw shadows rip apart, revealing glimpses of twisted, otherworldly landscapes filled with unspeakable terrors. The ground itself seemed to pulse and breathe, as if alive. I attempted to flee, but the forest around Evershade had become a labyrinthine trap. Each path led me back to the ghastly spectacle of the town, as if it demanded to be witnessed. Now, as I write this, my hands coated in the cold sweat of fear, the darkness is alive with malevolent energy. The abyss of Evershade has opened, and its horrors beckon. If this account is ever found, let it be a testament to the unspeakable terror that lurks within Evershade. This town is not just forgotten, it's a living nightmare. Each step I took in Evershade felt like wading through a nightmare. The oppressive atmosphere weighed heavily on my shoulders, a constant reminder that I was trapped in a realm of horror. My rational mind struggled to comprehend the grotesque reality unfolding around me. I wandered into what seemed like the town's clinic, the decaying sign hanging lopsidedly above the door. Inside, the remnants of a once bustling medical facility lay in shambles. Rusty surgical tools were scattered on the floor, covered in dried bloodstains. The walls, once pristine, were now canvases of despair, smeared with frantic, bloody handprints and cryptic symbols. As I ventured deeper, I stumbled upon a room that appeared untouched by time. On the desk, a stack of medical records detailed a series of unexplained illnesses that had plagued Evershade. Patients reported haunting visions, unrelenting paranoia, and an overwhelming sense of dread. The doctor's notes grew increasingly frantic, his handwriting deteriorating into an indecipherable scrawl. It was clear that whatever malevolent force had taken hold of Evershade, it had started as a silent infection of the mind. Leaving the clinic, the fog thickened, coiling around me like a living entity. I heard the sound of footsteps approaching, but they were unlike any human gait. They were uneven, dragging, as if something unholy was limping towards me. I turned to look, but the fog obscured my view, playing tricks on my eyes as shadows danced within it. The town square, once a place of community and laughter, was now a grotesque theater of the macabre. The fountain in the center, dry and cracked, was filled with an assortment of discarded items. Old dolls with missing eyes, watches stopped at the same time, and photographs with faces scratched out. It was as if the objects were remnants of the townsfolk's last desperate attempts to cling to normalcy before succumbing to the town's curse. I tried to document what I saw with my camera, but the images were distorted, showing scenes of torment and despair that made my stomach turn. My technological expertise was useless here. Evershade was a place that defied all logic and reason. Night seemed to stretch on indefinitely. The darkness was suffocating, and the air was filled with a cacophony of chilling sounds. The creaking of old houses bending under the weight of their own decay, the rustling of leaves as if whispered conversations were taking place just out of sight, and the occasional guttural growl that seemed to come from the bowels of the earth. In my search for an escape, I found myself at the town's edge, where the forest met the remnants of a dilapidated chapel. Its once holy ground was desecrated, the crosses in the graveyard tilting at odd angles, as if trying to escape the soil they were embedded in. The chapel door was ajar, beckoning me into the darkness within. Inside, the pews were coated in dust, and the stained glass windows were shattered, their holy figures distorted into nightmarish shapes. The altar, covered in a thick layer of dust, held a single, ancient book. Its pages were yellowed with age, filled with esoteric symbols and rites. It was a tome of forgotten lore, possibly the source of the curse that gripped Evershade. As I flipped through the pages, the chapel grew colder, and the shadows seemed to congregate around me, whispering in a language I couldn't understand but felt in my very soul. It was a language of ancient and dark power. Suddenly, the ground shook violently, and a deep, guttural roar echoed through the chapel. The book slipped from my hands as I stumbled to the ground. The chapel's walls began to crack, revealing a creeping blackness that seeped through like a living infection. I realized then that Evershade wasn't just cursed. It was a gateway, a thin veil between our world and something unspeakably ancient and malevolent. I ran from the chapel, my heart pounding in my chest. The forest seemed to close in on me, the trees warping into twisted figures that reached out with gnarled branches. The air was filled with a chorus of screams and howls, a symphony of the damned that resonated through the very ground of Evershade. In my frantic escape, I stumbled upon a clearing where the remnants of a house stood, more intact than the others. Inside, the walls were lined with old photographs, their subjects' eyes scratched out, leaving hollow voids that seemed to stare into my soul. Among the photographs, I saw a familiar face, my own. There, among the antiquated photos, was a picture of me, taken years ago. My eyes, too, were scratched out, leaving black voids that sent a shiver down my spine. How was this possible? Had Evershade been waiting for me, or was I somehow a part of its cursed legacy? My mind raced with panic and confusion. I needed answers, but the only thing Evershade offered was a deeper descent into madness. The house, like a sentinel of forgotten times, seemed to hold more secrets. In a hidden drawer, I found a series of letters, yellowed with age, addressed to someone with the same last name as mine. The letters spoke of a pact, a family lineage tied to the very curse that had befallen Evershade. The realization hit me like a cold wave. My family was connected to this town, a part of its dark history. The map in the attic, the photo on the wall, the letters in my hands. It was all a twisted inheritance, a legacy entwined with this accursed place. As these revelations dawned upon me, the house began to crumble, the walls peeling away to reveal a swirling vortex of darkness. The shadows whispered my name, their voices a mix of malice and invitation. The ground beneath me gave way, and I was falling into the abyss that Evershade hid beneath its facade. I awoke to find myself lying in the forest, the sun peeking through the canopy. Evershade, with all its nightmarish glory, was gone. Had it been a dream, a hallucination? I stumbled back to civilization, my mind a whirlpool of questions. But Evershade wasn't done with me. Back in my world, things started to go awry. I'd see fleeting shadows in mirrors, hear whispering voices at night, and the picture of me with scratched-out eyes appeared in my apartment, a haunting reminder that I couldn't escape. Evershade was with me, a part of me. Now, as I write this, I know Evershade is calling me back, its curse woven into the fabric of my being. I must return to uncover the truth, to break this familial curse. But I fear that once I step back into the depths of Evershade, I may never return, consumed by the abyss that has claimed so many. I leave this account as a warning. Some mysteries are better left unsolved, some legacies better left unclaimed. If you ever come across a map leading to a forgotten town, turn away, for if you find Evershade, know that it has already found you.